Hello, dear colleagues. Nice to see you today. And today we are going to talk about grammar, teaching grammar. And I'd like to start with a very interesting question which teachers often ask each other. Which is more important, grammar or vocabulary? And if you ask me, the answer to this question lies in the quotation. Without grammar, little can be said. Without vocabulary, nothing can be said. So I would say vocabulary is absolutely vital, and you can survive without grammar, but not without vocabulary. Anyway, vocabulary is of paramount importance as well, so we need to teach it thoroughly. And again, just as when we were talking about vocabulary, the first thing to consider is what it means to know a grammatical phenomenon. Hopefully, you remember the abbreviation MPF, meaning, form, and pronunciation. So, to know, say, a tense, a certain grammatical tense, means to understand what it means, to know how it is formed, including negatives, interrogatives, etc., and to know how it is pronounced, including strong and weak forms. So, how do we present the meaning of a new grammatical phenomenon? One of the best tools is a situation. For instance, to present used to, I usually show my students an old photo of myself and ask to compare. And then we compare. I help them to form student sentences with used to, like you used to wear a plate. You didn't use to wear glasses, and so on. Yeah. A great way to present present simple is to bring a bag full of different minor stuff, different bric-a-brac, yeah, and ask students to guess something about the owner of this bag. For example, there's a mirror. So the owner is a woman. There's a bag of coffee. Yeah. So the owner likes coffee. There's some cat food. The owner has a cat. And so on. Yeah. And to present present continuous, for instance, obviously the easiest way is to mime actions, yeah, to say, I am sleeping, yeah. Another idea is a text, written or audio, which presents the context, yeah. Then you can use timelines. For example, you have to present past perfect, past continuous. Yeah? You can use this timeline showing that something, so this is now, something continued from one certain point in the past to another certain point in the past. Yeah? Honestly, I love timelines. Then, how can we present form. First, we can base on the text. For example, when we study present simple, we begin with presenting form using the bag, while students guess something about the owner of the book, they make sentences. I write these sentences correctly on board without like drawing students' attention to these corrections. Just, for example, the students say, like coffee, and I write, he likes coffee. Then we have this list of sentences, we analyze it and work out the rule. Sometimes course books present written or audio texts, usually dialogues, to present certain grammar. This allows to use discovery approach. Then we can, when we've discovered, we make up a formula on board, on a desk, or as a class. So I usually use such like elements of the correct grammatical form, and I ask the students to like this, So I ask the students to make up a formula, either in pairs on their desk, or one student completes this task on board, or I give one element to one student, another element to another student, etc., and ask the students to stand in line in front of the board so that the elements are in the right order. So this way I involve kinesthetic learners who need to touch these cards and move while they are studying. So this is presentation of meaning and presentation of form. And I'd like to know that to note that I usually present meaning before form, so that when students study the form, they understand in which cases they might need this form. Next, we need to check meaning. And again, we use CCQs, concept check questions. But doubtlessly, these questions will sound a bit different than when we check the meaning of vocabulary. So, for instance, to check present perfect, I might ask, if I have eaten the cake, can I give it to you? Or if I had done my homework before dinner, what happened first? Dinner or homework? Something like this. Then we come over to controlled practice. For controlled practice, I use such exercises as choose the right option. You can see the example on the board. Fill in the gaps, open the brackets, correct the errors. And then I usually ask students to make statements into questions and negatives. And I ask them to correct the word order. I suppose you all are familiar, more or less, with these exercises because there are plenty of them in books like Galitinsky or Roundup, Grammarway, and all that stuff. I'd only like to note that students might make these exercises themselves. Virtually all of these types of exercises can be created by students and then exchanged for their partners to complete. Next, we move on to free-up practice. Yeah. For free-up practice, we use making up sentences in certain tense to add communicative meaning. I usually ask students to make 2 true, 1 false, so that their partner guesses. Yeah? For instance, make up 3 sentences about what you have done this week. 2 true, 1 false. Your partner guesses which is false. So we practice present perfect. Yeah? Or say 3 sentences about what your family members are doing now. 2 true, 1 false. Then tic-tac-toe. So you can put in the spaces of a tic-tac-toe framework either a name of a grammatical term or an auxiliary verb like had or been or something, yeah? And have students again make up sentences in this tense or using this auxiliary verb. Yeah? Then, playing with a dice. This is just a common dice. Yeah? They can use it in pairs or as a whole class in teams. Yeah? They throw a dice. If the dice shows 1 or 2, they make up a positive statement in the certain tense. If it shows 3 or 4, they might make up interrogative. If it shows 5 or 6, they make up questions. They can also, this dice game can also be used to compare 2 tenses. For example, 1, present perfect statement. 2, present perfect continuous statement. 3, present perfect negative. 4, present perfect continuous negative. 5, present perfect question. 6, present perfect continuous question, etc. Yeah? And then you can also ask them to check each other's questions in terms of grammar. Now next, production stage. Yeah. I ask students to make up texts either based on the meaning, for example, tell about a frightening event in the past, yeah? Or make up a list of achievements to nominate the students you want for the Bravery Award. Yeah? Sometimes I ask them to make sentences basing on form. For example, use present perfect continuous 3 or 5 times in your story. Yeah? Then, context. So, you can organize mingling activity. Of course, the classical example is find someone who to practice present perfect or present perfect continuous. Yeah? And you can organize kind of discussions. For instance, to present ways of expressing future, you can ask students to discuss in pairs when and where to go next Sunday, or how and when to celebrate, say, New Year or any other upcoming holiday. Yeah? So, again, I'd like to draw your attention that exercises can be created by students themselves, like tell to your students, Make up sentences using present perfect and present perfect continuous, but put the verbs in the infinitive in brackets. Then exchange your exercise books, complete your partner's exercise, then give their copybook back and check if your partner has completed correctly. And please mind you that production is crucial. I've seen a number of students knowing grammatical patterns fairly well and completing controlled practice and even freer practice exercises with very few mistakes. But when it comes to production, they concentrate on meaning and forget all about their correct grammar. So to avoid this, or rather to skip this obligatory stage quicker, production is crucial. So, and the last question I'd like to consider, speaking of grammar, to correct or not to correct. Most teachers are used to correcting every single grammatical mistake every time they hear it. But that's not always the right thing to do. The question you have to ask yourself is, what type of exercise is your student doing right now? If it is controlled practice, then instant correction is okay. But I usually either ask other students in the class to confirm, or ask the student to explain the choice, to explain why. Believe me, fairly often, when the students start to seek for the explanation, they realize that their answer was wrong. If it's freer practice, the only way of immediate correction you can allow yourself is to echo correctly, not breaking up the communicative context. Yeah? For example, your student says, yesterday I go to the cinema. And you just say, wow, you went to the cinema. Great. What film did you see? Etc. Yeah? So you don't just draw attention to the mistake, you don't interfere with communication. You just naturally echo, but echo correctly. In all the other cases, please hold your tongue and use delayed error correction only. So note the mistakes while the student is speaking, and afterwards, I usually prefer to ask the students to repeat. Believe it or not, surprisingly often, when the student is asked to repeat, they concentrate on form, not meaning, and repeat it correctly. This, in this case, we just laugh together when I repeat his wrong action, his wrong first version. Yeah. Or you can ask other students to give feedback. This is, by the way, a good way of giving reason for listening. You can say the students, while Marsha is telling us about her most frightening experience ever, listen carefully, note the mistakes, and afterwards I'll ask you to correct. So, thanks for listening up to the end. Feel free to give your feedback in the comments. Let me know if these techniques were helpful and share the ones you use in the comments below. Thanks for listening. Take care. Until next time.